All rise for opening remarks from Mr. Silverstein.
Dear Lord, please give each of us the courage to value our differences, work for positive change in our community, and strive to work together to make Easton a better community by treating each other with respect and goodwill. Amen. Please turn and pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to look out and actually see people in the audience for a change. So we are at capacity here for our meeting, but we are streaming online if anyone wants to watch from MCTV. Also, we had a bond workshop prior to this meeting, but we're ready to go. And we'll start with approval of minutes from last month's meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion done. Mayor Willie.
A couple things for you tonight. One is Thursday, July 9th at 10 a.m. We'll dedicate the memorial tree out at the RTC Park to the late John Ford. His family's been contacted. They'll be in attendance. And anyone else that's able to show up, it will be a great time to come out and show your support for the Ford family. You should have had in your packet the annual summary report from the Building Inspection Division of the inspections they've made, which have been quite a few, and the fact that our time frame for getting these permits and inspections done has certainly been equal to or better than any we've had before. So that process seems to be going well. Mr. Richardson will brief you on the recycling bid, the recommendation for accepting that. And I think to bring up about the early meeting this evening, we have been talking for a couple of weeks now about a potential bond issue that's being done because our credit rating is very high, very favorable for a town our size, and the market rates for commercial lending have come way down. So that it seems to be the time to get some of these projects we've got the funding for them so we can get started. We have talked about at least $7 million and possibly higher, and we'll go through that process over the next few weeks just to see what we have in the works that needs to be done. Some of the things talked about have been to replace these metal stairs outside. In the wintertime, they're a real hazard for people walking up and down. We've talked about the movement of the boat ramp at Easton Point, and we've talked about various other things. So we need to narrow down what we want to do and how we want to do it and structure the bond issue so accordingly. Any questions need to be brought up fairly soon because we'd like to get this process rolling. And right now it's about a 3.5 month process to get the paperwork done, get everything moving forward. So I had one other thing, but I forgot what it was. So I'll have to remember it. And anyway, if there are any questions, I'd be glad to try and answer them. If not, I'm down.
Any questions?
No, I think the two bond workshops that we've had so far have been very insightful, and I look forward to seeing the list of projects so that we can make a determination which bond amount to go for.
I think some of the rates that have been thrown around have just been outstanding. And it's a question of whether we can access those.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Richardson?
Good evening, President Cook, Council. I have 3 items for your agenda this evening. The first is the recycling contract. On June 30th, the town of Easton received a single bid from Republic Services. They are currently our vendor for recycling throughout the town of Easton. They put together a 3-year bid contract. The first year is $394,920. The second year is $408,000. $742, and the third year is $423.48. The first year of that contract is less than what we're currently paying. Last contract period, we did a change where we now own and retain ownership of all of the recycling containers. Inside this bid package, there is a shared index. So the market for recyclables since 2018 has been one where we are paying to have those recycled materials taken to market. And we cost share that with this vendor at a 70-30 ratio. So in addition to the annual contract, we anticipate about $75,000 worth of index costing, bringing the first year's total to $469,920. The current fiscal year budget has $425,000 allocated towards this, so we're within a close margin. The recommendation of the town engineer is to proceed forward with Republic Services for the 3-year contract.
Is there any discussion about adjustment for the current revenue that we receive?
So that's what the split and share does. As the market changes and we get a monthly report of what that market looks like, the percentage is just shared.
Okay, but we're charging each of the people, individuals who are receiving recycling and everything else. Is there an anticipation that we'll be changing what we're charging?
So that's normally done on an annual basis, and as you all are aware, COVID played a factor in putting this bid out to market. So the schedule of fees for the next fiscal year has already gone out, and those fees were set and assigned for the recycling services. Currently, the single-family residence was $50. Multifamily residence, if you live in a complex that has 5 or more units in it, is $55, and then the commercial recycling is $190.
And that's on a monthly basis, correct?
That's on an annual basis.
And, excuse me.
Yeah, so those were set in the schedule of fees. You could modify that. Historically, we have never done that.
Okay. And we looked at what private haulers are charging, and we're considerably under the private haulers, is that
Yes.
correct?
And we've compared ourselves to other markets, to municipalities, and we are very economical in how we provide this service.
And some savings we've always hoped would be, we were paying less in tipping fees, so what usually would go to the landfill, we're sending less to the landfill and more towards the recycling. And hopefully over time, the idea was that our numbers would grow. I know we staggered there for a little bit, but hopefully we have more participation town-wide with recycling than we had in the past. That's the hope.
I don't have the numbers for you, but we could certainly get those pulled together.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to approve the contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The second is a public assembly permit which you had previously approved in the year for the Easton's Farmer Market in what is the town parking lot number 5 between Harrison Street and Washington Street. They are requesting Saturdays, August 8th through December 19th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. The typical attendance is between 5 and 1,000 people. They've always made a special request for crossing guards at the intersection or at the entrance to that lot off of Harrison Street. The police department recommendation this year includes, because their request has changed, so the police department recommendation is for approval of what they normally would have had for parking lot 5, which is the northern and the northeast part of that parking lot, about 50% of it. They have requested this year that they be allowed to use the entire parking lot from the entrance at Washington Street all the way to Harrison Street so that they can properly social distance in the farmer's market. But they're looking to bring that back into the heart of the downtown Easton.
Currently, it's a no-touch farmer's market.
Mhm.
They don't They're not proposing to bring that same model downtown, are they?
So they didn't get into those details in this. They certainly could do it that way. They could do the same drive-through, but I believe their intentions are to go back to the more norm of the farmer's market.
Okay.
The budget had anticipated paying for the overtime for the crossing guards in the amount of $1,800. In this, they've estimated $100 for each day, which actually comes to about $2,000 for the period that they want to do. So the recommendation, as I said, from the Easton Police Department is for approval of the original farmer's market with your consideration for the full parking lot.
When we look at the $2,000, that's strictly salary, correct?
It's strictly, the salary of those individuals
Yeah,
for
no
the time that
benefits
they're
or
there.
anything
No
like that.
benefits.
Okay.
And I don't mind letting them spread out to be safe and use the whole lot as requested.
No, I agree.
I think we have to.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The last item is just an update. It's been a few months since we've updated the town organizational chart. And given that we're going into the new fiscal year 2021, I thought this was a good opportunity to provide you with a updated organizational chart for the town of Easton. This is an all-inclusive organizational chart, so it has, I believe, 135 full-time employees and a series of part-time employees, including, the mayor, council, some of our boards and commissions. Our crossing guards are another good example. So I hope that this is beneficial to you. This is consistent with our code and charter and how it's organized, and it also matches up with the fiscal budget. So if you go through it, the executive or administrative branch comes first, then it's the finance office, to our planning and zoning office, our building and facilities, then into our public safety arm, which is police department, the building inspection, the code enforcement office, the town engineer's office, and then it goes into our services, which is our public works and our parks and rec departments. So I hope you find that beneficial.
Are there any significant changes that we should be aware of?
There are no significant changes in there, other than, we did kind of, historically, we've tried a couple of different things up here with the planning department, the building department, and the code enforcement department, and we've shuffled that around a bit from time to time. And every so often, an employee will bounce, whether it's in the police department or our public works crews, or even in planning and zoning and engineering, they may move from one department to the other just based on needs. The single greatest is just to make sure that that planning and zoning arm stays underneath the administrative section, which is how it's laid out in the budget.
And that building manager spot on the chart, on the first page of the chart, that's that new position that we approved
Yeah.
in the budget.
So there were 4 new positions in the FY '21 budget that are included in this. The first was a new position in our IT department. The second was an administrative finance, or an assistant finance officer for the finance department, the building manager, and then last, there is a addition to our parks and rec crew.
Have all those positions been filled except for the building manager?
No, we need to advertise for 3 of the 4. The only one that's been filled is the assistant finance officer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions,
And-
Mr.? Oh, go ahead.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry, President Cook. And is this something that would be available online for people to take a look at, or is this something that would be in-house?
So I wanted to get your eyes on it first. The intention is to distribute this, and it is something that we could post. It does not include specific names.
Right,
It's
that's why I-
positions related. So it is a postable document.
Thank you. Thanks.
Any other questions for Mr. Richardson?
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Van Ember?
The only thing I have this evening is to open, I guess, the discussion regarding the open council member seat.
Do we want to
Yeah, let me,
pause for a moment
Oh,
and see if
sure.
any interested parties want to
Yep.
listen in? Still you coming in the door,
the hallway's full.
is it?
So as you open up the discussion of the council member seat, there is one thing I wanted to remind you that's a necessary part of this process, and that's the ethics forms. Typically, when we have an election, someone would fill that out when they file their certificate of candidacy, but it definitely always has to be done by the election. Sometimes people forget when they do that. But that is a necessary step in this process as well. I'm not sure what your intentions are tonight, but at least the successful person needs to file that. Typically, every person interested would file those, but it's a little different for this process. Our code doesn't really address the appointment process. It's more for candidates when it typically is addressed. But anyway, I just wanted to open up the discussion and raise that issue to make sure that's addressed.
So if we were to select someone, as long as they submitted that before they were sworn in, that would probably qualify?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Does anyone have any questions? We were fortunate, we had 4 candidates, which I thought was pretty amazing, to step forward and put a letter of interest in. I know that most of us around up here have had a chance to reach out to candidates and speak with them. Does anyone have any questions or discussion items about?
No, I want to thank all the people who have applied. I know it's a tough thing to do. I hated doing it myself. I think everybody was certainly capable,
I think so.
and maybe we'll make a decision, but I think these people deserve credit for doing it.
Yes, I agree. It's certainly not an easy position.
No, I agree. Thank you to everybody who came out and stepped up, and I think they asked great questions, and it was a very lively discussion.
I believe so.
So,
Yeah, we've had, we started, I think, last Wednesday, and we ended up on Sunday, meeting with individuals. And so, I think there was a commitment on the council to make sure that we contacted folks. I know there was one resume that came in at 4:30 today. Very familiar with the individual. I think some of us, most of us are, because they've been very involved in the community. At this time, I'm ready to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we appoint to Ward 4 Reverend Elmer Neal Davis, Jr. I want to talk a little bit about him. He was born in Salisbury, Maryland, educated in Wycomico Public School System. He has pursued his education at Warwick Community College. He received an Associate of Arts degree in Criminal Justice. He attended the Eastern Shore Criminal Justice Police Academy in Salisbury, Maryland. His training enabled him to serve 22 years with the Salisbury Police Department. I know he has worked with our police department to try to increase diversity in our police department. He was promoted through the ranks to lieutenant, and then he made a big change in his life. He decided to become a man of God, and he was appointed in 1998 as a senior pastor of St. Mark's United Methodist Church. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Human Resource Management from Wilmington College. He pursued a divinity degree at Howard University School of Divinity. And at the 2011 United Methodist Annual Conference, Reverend Davis was ordained an elder in full connection. He has worked in Delaware. He has been vice coordinator of BMCR, co-chair of a committee for the Homeless Commission for the city of Dover, Delaware. He has also worked with the NAACP as a chaplain. He has been assigned as the Easton District Superintendent, a devoted husband, 28 years, 2 children, and he resides at 23 Londonderry Easton. So I put forward his name. I think all the candidates were outstanding, but I think he brings some qualities that will be very helpful to this council. I think diversity is one of the issues that we discussed, as well as his experience with the police department and his involvement with the churches in the community will give us another avenue into the minority community. So,
I second the motion.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Reverend Davis.
You can say a few words?
I just want to first thank God for this moment in time and opportunity and all of these good folks that are here. I believe that I am the sum and total of all of them. They have helped me along the way and been a blessing. There's a few of them that I really would like to recognize tonight. First is my mother. She's right here. My mother, and my oldest brother is here. The oldest brother, he's over there. My brother Andre's here. My nephew, my son and daughter, they would love to come up here and talk. but they, my sister Dina is my sister. She's my oldest sister. I want to make sure that's on record. So I'm just grateful. I believe for such a time as this, I just hear God saying now is the time. And now is the time to make a difference in the community. And I'm committed to enhancing the quality of life for every person that I come in contact with. And I just hope and pray that, we work together for the betterment of the city of Easton. And it's just God's divine promise. I'm the district superintendent, working in a position that needs much prayer because some of the pastors are here. And there's another person, Brother Vance Albert, who's here. I thank God for him because his father was one of the one of the African American from the Black Delaware Conference district superintendents, and he's really helped me out. He used to live down on Dover Street in that Asbury parsonage when the district superintendent had that. I do have some other parents that helped raise me. Miss Giddens and Mr. G is here, and Sister Peggy Stewart, and Brother George is here. There are a lot of people that have blessed me and helped me along the way. So I am grateful for this opportunity, and if I need to sign a form before I raise my hand, you just give me the form and we'll do what we have to do. All right? I thank you. I'm just so grateful, honored, and then I asked my security to come. Ed Coolin is here. He's the pastor of St. Mark's United Methodist Church, here in Easton. So we thank God for him. And I thank God for all of you for just the interview with you guys was inspiring. I didn't ask a lot of questions because I do have questions, but I didn't ask a lot. But I just thank you for your time. And trust me, going forward, we will work hard to make a difference in the city. Okay?
Congratulations.
Mr. Davis, there's a quick ramp up to our next meeting. I hope you know that you can count on any of us to help you with the transition and help you get started. If you have any questions, please reach out to any of us. We're
Okay, I
happy to
appreciate it.
help.
All right. For me.
You can't take the oath
Yeah, he
tonight.
hasn't-
We have to do the ethics forum.
Do it at next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be just swearing in next meeting after you fill out the financial statement.
Yeah.
So,
So everyone gets to come back.
I don't know about all that.
Oh.
Hey, it took my brother like 20 minutes to get up here. I mean,
all you have to do is raise your hand, sign a book, and you're on at the next meeting. And you take a seat with the council, and you'll participate in the next council meeting, so.
okay, is that all right with y'all? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's great to have everybody here.
All righty. Anything else for Ms. Van Embert?
No, I don't have anything else.
Gentlemen, any questions? All right. All right, the next thing on the agenda is Resolution 6123 for the Town of Easton, extending the Executive Order 2020-05 previously issued by the mayor, adopting additional measures related to sidewalk cafes, town office buildings, and boards and commission meetings during previous state of emergency declaration for the Town of Easton for COVID-19.
Do we need Russ in here?
Is this up for
Executive order, Chair.
Yes.
the resolution?
It's up for a
Yes.
vote.
So, yes, it's up for a vote tonight. It extends the most recent Executive Order number 5, which deals a lot with the sidewalk cafes, but there is also the open meetings, which we're doing, but that extends that and allows the boards and commission meetings to resume as well.
Okay.
So the mayor's order would be valid for 30 days without the council extending that further, and this extends that further until either you all pass a resolution terminating it or he decides that the executive order is no longer necessary.
And make a motion for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Jim Bent? Oh, I'm apologize. Mr. Silverstein?
Aye.
Mr. Abbatiello?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Now we can have Mr. Bent.
Please.
Please.
We want to hear you.
We're back on, thank you, Ron. So, good evening.
Good evening.
Congratulations, Ms. Cook, on your new appointment,
Thank you.
council. You should have at your last meeting received a packet from the Affordable Housing Board to do with income limits and how we have done those in the past and what we're proposing to do in the future. And understand from Mayor Willie that you may have had some questions and would like for me to be here this evening to answer any questions you might have. Do you want me to kind of review back through it again?
I think, Jim, one of the things we were just talking about, criteria, what's changed, how you see the limits affecting the program that we have, and, if it's either positive or negative.
Well, when the program was first started back in, or the board was first put on, the program started back in 2002, 2003, they put together a program for income limits, and it was based on a number that HUD publishes once a year annually on county moderate income, and it was adjusted based on some information from the 2000 census, which put Easton's income, median income, at like 68.7% of Talbot County. And we've used that same number historically every year since. For the last 5 or 6 years, we've discussed that every year and had not come up with a better method of doing that, realizing that was outdated. So with some research this year, found a program through the census that gets updated every 4 or 5 years. The most current was $2,018, is the way it's stated on the census website. And that brought us to 82.76% of Talbot County median income, which seemed to be much more logical than what we were working on previously. What that does for the program is it actually opens it up to more individuals because it's going to put that income limit at a much higher level. And probably in today's dollars makes much better sense. And what some of the hesitance of doing this prior was because we wanted to make sure when we established a change that it was something that we could be consistent with every year and have the same type of figures to look at every year to set this. HUD does publish that figure every year, usually in April. So we have that. We needed to have some way to adjust that, and I think we found that through the census. So that's the rationale for doing that, and I think that's going to keep us in a much more current position on income limits. Were there other questions?
How is the program currently working as far as available stock that you have in homes? And you also have a rehab, like a loan program for rehab. How is interest in that?
We do, and I actually brought that with me. To give you an idea, we've completed 15 renovations. The original approval at Easton Village allowed for renovation of 5 homes. By working with the developer to, in essence, buy that program out, we've now tripled that. We've done 15. We've got 4 applications right now that we're considering, so that's going to jump up, fairly quickly over that. To date, we've spent $106,000, almost $107,000 of $250 that was originally earmarked for this program. And in addition to that, we had one that was our top, which was a low-income loan, and that was an additional $10,000 that didn't come out of that $250 that's being paid back by the homeowner. So I think that's a pretty good accomplishment. We're very happy with that at this point in time.
Jim, moving forward with what Easton Village and the construction that's going on, the money that's going into that pot, you see a number of new projects coming forward that you're going to be able to fund.
We hope so. We kind of got put on the back burner with COVID and inability to really sit down and meet, and also meet with some outside sources. And the 2 stumbling blocks we have are number 1, available property and what it may cost us to pick up that property. And the second part of that is finding a way to build an affordable house. And in talking with local lenders, trying to come up with some kind of an idea of price point of where we would need to be considered affordable, we think that we would have to sell a house somewhere in the neighborhood of about $140,000.
How much?
About $140,000 to fit into the income categories of our program, and that's going to be very tough to do. We're looking at some modular home builders that may be the answer to that.
Right.
We did one home, our first home out on Chapel Road, and sold that for about $160,000, and we actually, I think that cost us about $5,000, $6,000 more than what we sold that for. And we're probably going to have to subsidize some of this housing to get it done. So it's a process that we're working on. We've got a couple subcommittees that are working on that. And again, we kind of got locked down for the last 3.5 months, but we're meeting tomorrow night, and I hope to kind of get some of that back on the burner and moving forward. The other part of that, of course, we've got some projects going on down in the Hill. We sold the first one in March, 308 South Street for $129,000. I don't even want to tell you what that would cost us to do, to renovate, but we did subsidize that. Fortunately, that's through a grant. We have 2 under construction right now, 31 and 34, and 31, I believe it is, left-hand side. Should be done in the next 4 to 6 weeks, I think. And we may have a candidate to purchase that. We're going to look at an application tomorrow evening. So we've got some good stuff going on.
Are you looking at strictly single-family housing?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know Habitat does, townhomes and things like that. So I just,
They did, but they've told us that really doesn't fit their program very well, and they did a project down on West Street and had a difficult time selling that project. And unless they've changed since then, they've kind of decided that really doesn't fit their program well. Single family does much better. We had, part of our program with Ashby Commons was to develop 9 townhomes out there for sale. We ended up buying that program out as well because it was very difficult to sell any of those townhomes.
yeah.
For whatever reason, even at a price point of $160,000, nobody wanted to buy them. Who knows? So I think we're really going to stick with single family.
So have you guys identified infill lots in the community that will work for you?
We've worked on that a little bit, and planning department has helped us through that process somewhat. I've got a document in my file that has some of that information. We're going to visit that, and we'll also visit some other lots that we may be aware of, and also some dilapidated housing that may have an opportunity to either tear it down and rebuild or renovate.
Has the school district ever had any, conversations with you about some of the land they own?
No.
I know that's come up. I've spoken to Kelly Griffith about it, and I think they own some property over by the Board of Ed. I think they're interested in pursuing something there potentially.
I think Ron and I have talked about that very briefly, and I'd be interested in looking at that.
Okay.
I think someone had developed a plan for that.
There's actually a tentative plan that Mr. Booker put together. Don't know if it's the right one or not, but it was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that was for like teachers and policemen,
Police.
fire,
Yeah.
things like that,
Yeah.
which might be a good expansion of our program.
Yeah.
And Kelly is aware. I know in conversations I've had with her about the Affordable Housing Board, so I know it's come up in conversation with her. She's aware, and hopefully we'll reach out. But I can email connect you.
Yeah, and I've had some other discussion with Kelly regarding that and another housing commission that she and I sat on together. So yeah, she's got her hands full right now with trying to figure out how to open schools.
Yes. I agree.
Anything else?
Does anyone have any questions?
Everybody okay with what we're proposing?
I would be.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's correct. You got 3 of them. See you then.
We have Ms. Christy Morrell from Critchlow Adkins for a USDA Community Facility Grant letter of support.
President Cook, members of the Easton Council, thank you so much for hopefully supporting Critchlow Adkins Children's Center's request for USDA community facilities.
Could you slip over to your
Oh,
right?
sure.
Good.
Supporting a community facilities grant. The request is, the grant request is for assistance purchasing furniture for the new classrooms that will be in the new Easton Elementary School. We had initially budgeted for the price of the schools, the classrooms within the school, and you all supported us with that as well. And with COVID and our attendance dropping because of that, I looked for some additional funding to help purchase furniture for these classrooms, and the USDA grant is in line with that, and they're very supportive of this project. And your letter of support would help that become successful.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a letter from the Planning and Zoning from Mr. Bone for the Dutchman's Lane annexation.
Yes, the Planning Commission considered all of the legislation that's before you for the de-annexation of the 3rd Street, the annexation of Dutchman's, the zoning to apply to the properties, and then also
closure of Third Street.
Yeah, the de-annexation, the closing of Third Street, and the acceptance of Dutchman's Lane. So they considered all of those and made a positive recommendation on all of them.
So we just need to set the public hearing for tonight?
Public hearing has been advertised for your next meeting at
Okay.
5:45 on July 20th.
Okay.
Sharon, while you're talking, I have people from Eastern Club East that are listening. What happens if we approve this next time? What has to happen after that?
So the county has a process in this too, to convey the road, and their planning commission, there's a residential property that's part of this as well, and it needs a zoning waiver, so their planning commission is gonna make a recommendation on the zoning waiver. They're considering that at their August meeting, and then their county council is having a meeting sometime in August as well to approve the conveyance of the road, and I think they needed to add some zoning to Third Street or something else. So they have got some legislation as well. So there's a county process after the town votes, and then of course the effective dates are quite long on charter amendments and annexations. So 50 days is the longest one. So it'll become effective sometime around October-ish, before the snow season, but, so.
I've heard that the snowplows drop accidentally sometimes on Dutchman's Road.
Any other questions about Dutchman's Lane? Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, I see, Ross, are you interested in?
Sure,
Go
yes.
ahead.
If it means I can take this mask off, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good evening, President Cook, Council. Thanks for fitting me in last minute. I appreciate it, Megan. I'll make this short. I was talking to Don earlier. I know it's your anniversary today. Happy anniversary, so we'll try and get you out here as soon as we can. We have a few things for the Promenade on Washington Street that we need to, that we'd like to ask for the council's approval so that we can move forward on some of the events that we want to have that are recurring on Washington Street. One of those things, the country school has been kind enough to allow us during the summer season and early fall to utilize their modular stage that they have for performances, and they use it throughout the year. It's 8 feet by 16. It would take about 2.5 parking spaces or so on Washington Street, and it would be used for us for really two things: music on Friday and Saturday, and I can kind of go over an update of what the programming that we've booked in the past couple of weeks, as well as our family nights, which we're planning for Wednesday nights, which will be kind of dinner and a movie outside on Washington Street as well. So that would be one thing that we would ask for the council's approval, to be able to put that up there. Again, it is modular. It's only about 8 inches off the ground, and it's pretty easy for us to move out of the way. It would be in the parking spaces. It would not be in a place that would keep a truck from getting through if they had to.
That would be my biggest concern, is between, because I know there's a buffer between this tables
yeah.
and the end of the road to make sure that emergency vehicles can get through.
Yeah, so this is only coming out from the sidewalk 8 feet or so, and there's still, so we specifically wanted to put it on the left side because the trucks are gonna, if they do have to get through, God forbid, they're gonna wanna get as close to the buildings as they can, and the entry point that engineering and public works, and by the way, I have to say that engineering and public works have been great partners in this the past couple of weeks, rushing to get this done, but that middle area there that they've put the bars in, the trucks will have easy access and they can just go straight ahead. So it wouldn't affect any of that. And then I guess also kind of our question would be for things like tables, planters for the restaurants, what role does the council want to have in those decisions? I mean, for aesthetic purposes. So do you want us to come to the council with every request for like adding tables in and things like that to it? Or are we kind of given autonomy to make some of those decisions for the benefit of the event?
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I would think that we would need to draft an MOU that would address your issues. I think that's going to be the best way. And, you know, some schematics to show us where placement of certain things are going to be, so that at least we can conceptualize it. And when we talk to our constituents, we can verbalize, how things are gonna be laid out. Sharon, you're in the process of putting something like that together, are you not?
Yeah, I have it drafted.
Oh, great, okay.
As soon as I get the okay to send to you, I will be happy to do that.
Yeah, so I would say that, as quickly as possible, if we could get an agreement on get an MOU out that addresses those issues and get it back to us right away, I think that's perfect.
Sure.
And
And that kind of may address my second question, which was how we were gonna handle public assembly permits for a closed space. Is that in there as well, or?
It is. The way it's drafted now is you would apply for it, but sometimes people do like a recurring, like if you're
Sure.
gonna have recurring music, you would apply one time for a recurring.
I guess my concern with it, and the reason why I wanted to bring it up, was making sure, so considering it a public assembly permit, does that mean that anyone can apply to utilize that space anytime still?
It only allows you to,
Okay.
no business can do it individually, is how it's drafted currently. It would
I'm
have to
sorry,
come.
we can have this conversation all
Yep.
at once, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yep, sure, we can do it now.
Yeah, I think the key thing is, especially with public assembly permits, we want to make sure everybody is treated equally.
Sure.
And so that, no special deals are made with anybody that can come back on us and have somebody come back and say, hey, you did this for them. And that's why I think the MOU can address the issues you're talking about. I think people are interested in seeing how this is going to work, and hopefully, weather's going to be going to agree with everybody. But like I say, I saw the draft MOU. I'm happy with what you've got in there. Any other negotiations you want to do, I would be good with that, as long as we saw a final copy before we signed off on it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that sounds great. And so just, and Megan, at the last meeting, you had asked us to kind of come forward with when we have programming, or we're starting to have those conversations, and so certainly it's kind of contingent on having the MOU, but we've had a lot of partners that have come on board. Certainly there's been a lot of opinions about the Promenade, I think, and overwhelmingly, I would say about probably 85% of the conversations we've had have been positive. Whether it's just residents that are very excited about something different coming into downtown, certainly the businesses on Washington Street, but even most of the businesses downtown, having a positive viewpoint of it. Like I said, Country Schools come on as a partner, Garden Treasures come on as a partner to really outfit the barriers for all the restaurants. So our barriers will be really beautiful planters and plants, and then string lights between them, hopefully, which will that's the restaurant's areas that has been agreed upon for where they can serve. And that'll be in front of each three of the rest. In fact, if you go out there now, the planters are already out there. Country Schools come on as a partner, like I mentioned. Coastal Retreat, we work with them and the county. So the county is also willing to work with us to give us access to the courthouse grounds for certain events, which is great. That's kind of an overflow for us for certain things, but also, again, to keep those lanes open when necessary. So Coastal Retreat will be doing twice weekly, totally free community yoga out on the courthouse lawn as part of the promenade, and some music potentially out there as well. Our plan is right now, Tuesday, encouraging our restaurants to work together, especially the Washington Street Pub and Docks, because right now on Tuesdays, Scotus is currently closed for dinner, to do more of kind of a family-focused trivia night, using the stage area there to get all the restaurants involved in it. Wednesday, we're working with Scott Milligan from Avalon Foundation to do kind of a family night, which will include dinner and a movie. So he'll have kind of the inflatable screen, and we'll do a family-friendly movie out there and get licensing for each week. We're currently working on some sponsors for that as well, hopefully. Thursday and Friday, live music, and we have had some conversations with Avalon. I think maybe it was depending on how the conversation went with the parking lot today for the farmers market, but moving some of their artisans onto Washington Street. And Avalon will be, or has the intentions to bring back their free street concerts, which I know a lot of people in Easton are missing right now, since they haven't been on Harrison Street all year long, and to do those in a spaced out way on Washington Street. And so those are kind of the programming that we've started with for this first weekend. We will have, I intend to have live music Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
I think when you came and presented at the last council meeting, we were all in favor of giving something a try and giving this a try. I think the key is keeping a line of communication open between your organization and the town, so we're all aware of what's going on. I'm sure you've fielded a number of phone calls, I've heard phone calls, and I'm sure the gentlemen up here have heard. We just want to make sure that we're all on the same page and we're putting out a consistent message to everyone. One of the things I've heard is not all the downtown businesses have been abreast of what's going on. So if we can just make sure that that message is getting out to all the businesses down there, that would be great. And then, you know, we did talk about, it's kind of a trial. I'd love it if you came back and kept us in touch with what's happening, whether you want to come to the council meeting, you know, every week, give a 5-minute quick presentation, you want to get in touch with the mayor on a weekly basis since we only meet twice a month. I think we would all appreciate the feedback. We want to know, is it working? I understand there's a ramp up period, but I think we want to know, is the businesses, are they getting what they wanted out of it? And, you know, is it succeeding? Is it not succeeding? Do we need to make a change? Do we need to take it down? Let's just keep those lines of communication open. That would be my request. Just keep in touch, please.
Ross, the 3 restaurants are participating, Gin is not participating.
Correct, yeah.
Okay,
They've chosen to stay with carryout.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
There were 2 changes that I indicated I'd like to see in the MOU when it's passed out. One of those is a regular critique meeting for at least the first couple of weeks until we find out we're all on the same page with what's happening and we all understand on what's happening. Because prior to this, I've heard as many as 3 or 4 different iterations of what's going on with the downtown area. Don't know. So we need to get a session together. And it doesn't have to be long. It could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it takes. But at least bring everybody up to speed on what Ross has got planned and what he's doing there. The second is that we need to accumulate costs so that we can know at some point what's got to be in next year's budget. If it's a successful project, and I certainly hope it is, that we need to know what needs to be advanced to put a project like this on. And also, it's not only the downtown that's probably going to have to be helped at some point, but other businesses in the Easton area that we need to take under our wing, and we need to know what that costs. So those 2 changes I wanted in the MOU.
That's fine, that makes sense.
And Megan, just to clarify, so I think that part of our difficulties have been not knowing whom that communication is supposed to go to. So we have a liaison with the town, which is the town planner. And that town planner hasn't been part of these discussions. And so it's trying to, you know, who does that communication go through? Because we're getting mixed signals from department heads versus what elected officials may be saying. So I think that's something that we would request that gets sorted out.
I would like to see us have a liaison from the council, just like we do for economic development and other things in the future. And that might be helpful too.
Yeah.
Well, and Ross, I'll add to that. I mean, if Lynn, it is your responsibility to some degree to make sure that Lynn is involved. He is your liaison for the town of Easton, so you need to engage that relationship. So you need to make sure that he is aware so that he can then communicate to the mayor, and the mayor has the ability to communicate out to the rest. I mean, I agree with the mayor's statement. There's been a lot of speculation of what this is, and we didn't have a lot of those answers. So that's where the MOU is going to help, the public assembly permits is going to help, and your role communicating with Lynn Thomas will assist in that measure.
So Lynn is the point person.
Lynn is the point person, but right now the mayor is requesting weekly updates for the promenade specifically.
That's fine, and I think also, so it's important to note, this has gone through 4 iterations. And so the downtown businesses were very involved in the planning process as we were asked to get them involved. But the 4th iteration in which we presented to the council was wrapped up Thursday evening before that Monday meeting. And so certainly we did not have a chance to talk to every single business between Thursday evening and the Monday council meeting. And I think one of our biggest concerns is, does the town have the stamina for the complaints that they will receive about this? We are gonna get complaints from motorists that are having to drive around 7 days a week for a little bit. You know, I think that we can all 4-way stop, but we'll see. I mean, we are finding that out kind of quickly. So my concern, truthfully, is do we have, an office of two? We can't field all of those complaints all the time, and we can't, we have the county coming to us asking what the plan is because they weren't updated, and so we need to know what our role is. Certainly, and I guess the MOU will address that, but there were certainly things where it felt like the town should have stepped in for communication.
I'll tell you this, I've done 38 years of projects in 4 states, in 4 communities, and it's been my responsibility when I go before a council to show them the plan, to outline the plan, to give them the plan, and communicate to them as we go along. I expect Easton Business Alliance, Discover Easton, to do the same thing. It's incumbent on you. You've come to us and you visited with us about different plans that you want to do. And I think that's great. I think what you're trying to do is something really good for the community. The problem is that, you can stand up and you can visit with us, but if we don't have a written document, if we don't have something that we can look at and know what's going on, it makes it very difficult for us to be able to communicate back to our constituents. And I see things in the newspaper that you said this last Sunday, some of that is not what we approved in our meetings. I know you've got big ideas, and I think that's great, and I think that's wonderful, but please, make sure it's consistent with what you're telling us and what we approve, so that we can work together. That's all I'm asking.
We weren't interviewed for that article, so she just pulled whatever she had here in the meeting.
Okay.
I think now we've had, we're back on track, we have a plan, we have an MOU. We all want to work together. If the line of communication, it's open between us, we'd love to be involved, keep me in the loop, the mayor wants to meet with you. I think in addition to the comments you're going to be getting, we're going to be getting them also. We might be the first call before they call you, who knows? So if we have a constant message that we can put out, that would be great. So just, let's all work together. We do want a successful project.
We do too. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. So now we have invoices totaling $528,277.32.
Motion for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone have anything else to bring forward to the council?
I do want to share with you, as you know, we are monitoring chat on Facebook. We did have a comment concerning the farmer's market taking the whole parking lot and the already limited parking spaces with Washington Street closed for businesses on Goldsboro Street. So I just want to make you aware that the concern was placed. And I have commented to this person that we will get back to them and bring this to your attention. So
I wonder if they could, we want to keep the parking lot open for safety of the farmer's market. What about additional parking down Brewers Lane, accessing those parking spots? There are additional, I guess there's,
The Safeway
Safeway.
building, people have been parking at the Safeway building.
yeah,
So, and we're talking Saturday.
just Saturday morning, right?
No, we're not talking every day of the week.
Right.
But I understand their concerns.
Yeah.
They're legitimate.
And we can keep,
And I think if it wasn't for COVID, we wouldn't have this problem.
right.
Yeah.
So it's a temporary issue.
All right. Items by member of the council, Mr. Silverstein.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the mayor and the Avalon Theater for providing Easton with a 4th of July fireworks celebration, one of the few communities who stood up and did that. That once again shows the cooperative nature of the town with some of our great not-for-profits.
Mr. Abbatiello.
A couple of congratulations, first of all, to Reverend Davis on his appointment. I'm sure he will serve the community very well. And I also wanted to congratulate Officer Andrea Kendall, Officer Andy Bauer, and Officer Nicholas Everman recent additions to the Easton Police Department. They have a very difficult job ahead of them, and I wish them the best. And on a personal note, I want to thank my wife on our anniversary for letting me do stuff like this with you guys. So.
On that note, maybe we can have the new officers come to a council meeting one night so we can thank them.
Yeah, we'll make that happen. We also have hired 3 recruits. I don't have their names with me this evening. In fact, I just met them on Thursday afternoon. So they started the academy today.
Okay.
I think they all three come from police backgrounds.
2 definitely. The third I don't have the details on.
Mr. Engle?
Congratulate Councilman Abbatiello for his life-saving comments. Two positive. I want to congratulate our permits people for developing that excellent record last year. It's something that's worrisome throughout Talbot County. I think we set the standard now, and I think they should be congratulated. Also, have a copy of the memo that the chief wrote on for his press release. It's very good, very timely. I hope that they're going to put that on their website so people can readily access it, because as we've seen over the weekend, people are asking questions, and it answers the questions you can without being too specific. It tells you who we are, what we do, and what our restraints are. So it's very good, and I think we need to have it posted.
And I just want to thank all the candidates for stepping forward and throwing their hat in the ring for Ward 4. We had a great group. Very knowledgeable, very qualified. It was a tough decision, but I just want to thank everyone. It takes a lot of courage to put your name into a hat like that, so I appreciate it. So, all right, no one has anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a good evening.